with?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a
Hey.
tutti.
What's up, everybody? And yeah, just wrapped up the watch along. We're finally back in the win column. I got Lucci with me, and my God, man, nothing like stress first thing on a Sunday morning.
6:30 Sunday morning, and we decide to play like crap.
Oh man, we're gonna tackle this one. There's an ongoing running joke with the watch-alongs that every time we say Coco Melon, which came up as a joke through James Lapierre, they seem to score. And sure as shit, Rugani with the winner. Hell of a finish from Rugani.
Great
I will say
finish.
that. Vlahovic with the flick onto the back post. Vlahovic had himself a game, everybody. We will tackle that. We'll talk about the performance. We'll talk about Alcaraz, who saw some minutes finally getting in there. This thing had to be a win. I know it's not the way we want to see the win come, but Jesus, we needed that bad, desperately. Desperately needed to see those 3 points. The team fought through to the end, got it done. I still think there's some positives and some ongoing trends that are coming out of this game that we will obviously tackle and talk about right now. All right. Now, first off, I didn't get a chance to do it during the watch along. It's 3:30 in the morning, so my head's not always right on point where it needs to be. Okay. But we put the post out yesterday. There's a member within our community, Enrico, who's a part of the Toronto official fan club. He tragically lost his son in a car accident last week while he was on some type of road trip and everything. So our deepest sympathies, condolences, thoughts and prayers go out to Enrico and his family. All right. And we thank everybody for all the loving messages and support through Twitter and Instagram and everything. All right. So it's been a great outpouring of support and everything for him. And I'm sure he's thankful for that anyways. But sad moment that we always, still just want to show him that we are all humans. We're all family. We can be on different sides of opinions through the club and everything, but we are family and bonded through the love and passion for Juventus. So thoughts and prayers to you, Enrico, and your family. All right. Now, we get to this game. The starting lineup. The starting lineup kind of agitated me right off the bat because I felt like we should have just seen a subtle change. Just a subtle change. Just in playing Alcaraz. It was hinted all week, all this and everything. And I can understand being robust against Frosinone, who is a smaller side, okay? But I just still think you have to look for a solution. You have to look for some alternatives. You have to look to step it up. That's been my one criticism of Max, because I think that the heat he's taken is a little too much. And I've said that lately, and I think it's because of the lack of profiles, the lack
Yeah.
of certain characteristics. But I do think like Kostic should not be starting as much as he does. The left side has needed to find an answer.
Mm.
And ultimately, Alcaraz was he not supposed to be kind of this guy to make up for, a guy like Fagioli not being available, somebody that can kind of help the offensive push and support out of the midfield? So try it. Just try it. Like for me, I would have had McKennie at right wing back. I would have had Cambiaso as your left wing back. And I would have played Alcaraz in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And even that would have been just a subtle change that we could kind of go into. But of course, we see pretty standard Chesney. Thank Christ we didn't see Sandro start. I would have been really off my rocker at 3:30 in the morning. But you got Chesney, you've got Gatti, Bremer, Rugani, you get Cambiaso, McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, Chiesa, Vlahovic. What were your thoughts on that lineup? Was it the same as me or?
Yeah, I was the same as you because there was reports of 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, Alcaraz starting this that, and again, we see the exact same thing as we always see. So I was a little frustrated to see that, but I mean, I wasn't fully surprised that he decided to go exactly what he usually does. So I was just hoping, like we needed the 3 points, so I was hoping we'd just get it done without any stress, and then we saw how that went.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get by, obviously, the lineup. We'll get to the game here. Incredible start for Juventus. Absolutely incredible start for Juve. We are less than 3 minutes in, and this is a long ball played forward by Gatti. And lovely settle from McKennie. Quick touch in, and Vlahovic on the run, right foot. That's how you want to start off a game against a team that's been the worst in Serie A since December and conceding 31 goals since that stretch. That's how you want to kick things off. Vlahovic looked on. McKennie actually looked good this game. I will say, like, he looked on from the get-go. Okay? After that goal, yeah, it's just kind of like, I wouldn't say like a lull or anything, but just kind of like, okay, we got the early lead, let's try and control things and whatnot. But whenever Frosinone was moving up, we just looked shaky. Like we
Yes.
looked shaky. And this first goal, this is Chedira's second goal of the season, by the way, for fuck's sake. So we're letting scrubs get goals on us, okay? Our
Embarrassing.
our strength is supposed to be the defense, and this is something I've said over this stretch from the and it was okay against Inter, to be honest, but not the best. But we've just looked shaky through this whole stretch, and today I would say we looked shaky at the back too. Like anytime they come in, we just look like we're not confident all of a sudden. Locatelli gets beat on the outside on this one, which I thought was way too easy. The cross comes in. Cambiasso was originally marking this man. Chedira made like a half-turn run, lost him, and then he's free and clear. And we have 3 CBs standing there. Literally all three of them.
Just standing there.
Nobody attacks the ball. Nobody got a read on that. Nobody decided, hey, I should go higher, like anything. Like this guy gets a header. I saw shouts calling out Szczesny on this to do better, but there's no chance. Like, it's a free header in a money spot, 1-1, and I'm thinking, oh my God.
Here we go.
Yeah, like 14th minute, it's 1-1. Okay, wake up. Like, let's go. Let's get back at him. 13 minutes later, this goal has me even more pissed off, actually. I can get away with the first one. The second one, no chance, man.
From end to end.
2 fucking passes, man. And they go end to end on a throw-in deep in their zone.
Unacceptable.
That's just brutal, man. That's so piss poor. It's not even funny, okay? But they do. And Brescianini, of all fucking guys, scores again. Okay, or not again, but scores on us. 2-1 Frosinone at home. Absolutely must-win game. 27 minutes, you're down 2-1. Alcaraz comes in 2 minutes later, essentially right after this, because Rabiot took a knock when he and Bremer ran into each other on a long throw-in that bobbled around that Bremer was trying to run in and volley. So Rabiot leaves the pitch. Alcaraz comes in. You almost immediately see what kind of difference can be made by somebody that has that attack-minded play. Yep. You can already see it. Trying to link up with forwards, trying to play 1-2s, trying to drive the game. You could see it immediately. Not much after he tries a little 1-2, ball gets deep, it gets knocked out. It was a nice play. He found Chiesa, one touch into Vlahovic, but he was too tight to Cerofalini, and he ends up saving it. It gets out, cleared out. Cambiasso saves it. Cuts in, slots it to McKennie. McKennie with a nice little touch inside to Vlahovic, and Vlahovic with a beautiful finish, man. That's a brace for Vlahovic in the first half. Absolutely money. Vlahovic was on. McKennie was on. That's his second assist in this game, okay, in that half. So these guys are money. We're back 2-2. We go into halftime, okay? We don't really put them too far under the rest of the first half. The second half, this is where it gets kind of interesting for me. And this is something I think we've seen down the stretch. I've been feeling a certain way. Like our second halves are just flat. They're not at the same kind of level. So I felt stronger about the performance in the first half in terms of creating, getting at him, asking questions of the defense. But the second half just felt really, really drab. And like the urgency wasn't there. The
Yeah.
tempo wasn't nowhere where it needed to be. Like we should have came out and went for the kill like immediately. And we couldn't do that. And we didn't do that. And furthermore, it looked like the players didn't really share an understanding of what they wanted to do. Did we want to work 1-2s, get deep, then cross in, or did we just want to settle for the cross and send bodies in? It was like everybody was kind of like playing a different game almost
Mm-hmm.
from one side to the other. It was strange. But what did you think about the second half versus the first half?
The first, at least what, 35, 40 minutes, we didn't do anything. We just looked
Yeah.
slow. We didn't look like we had any urgency, any drive to go and get that third goal, which is frustrating because this is a game you should win easily. Like there's no way you should be giving up 2 goals in the first half. So
Yeah.
it was a completely different start to the second half than it was the first, and it almost cost us. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's I don't know if it's the coaching, if it's the players, if it's both. At this point, we've seen the same thing far too many times over the past couple of years. It's just not acceptable, is what it is.
I think, and this, I've been harping on this the entire time. It's a combination of both. Like, you can't put this all on one guy. Like, I mean, but Alcaraz playing in there, and I wanted to be specific about what I was saying when he came in because I was on him a lot, like saying, look at this. Like, it makes a difference having that type of vision, that type of forward thinking. It's different than what we're used to. It's not saying he's a world beater and that
Yeah.
he's world class or anything because he had struggles in this game too, made a lot of errant shots, but it's different. It's different than what we're seeing. He is definitely ahead of Miretti because Miretti so far is the only guy that has something close to that that's been attempted. In
Yeah.
just this showing, I will say he's well ahead of Miretti. Because if Miretti was in that spot, in that situation today, I don't think he does as well or better. So for me, like Alcaraz made a good difference in this game. Um, as far as, obviously we go through the highlight second half, very drab. We come down to the end. It's a fino alla fine. We had some whiffs in there. Yildiz came into the game. He
Yep.
whiffed on one. Okay. We're going to talk about the exchange with Chiesa in a little bit when we get to player performances, okay? But Yildiz whiffed on one. Gatti tried to get over top of one, couldn't do it. Vlahovic had a nice shot when Milik entered the game, laid one off to him, put it over, probably has to hit target there. Ultimately, comes down to the last corner kick of the friggin' game. Illing Jr. delivers it, flick on by Vlahovic, back post. Rugani with a killer finish. I don't think he could do that one again if we asked him to, but I'll take it today because I didn't want to be pissed off on my Sunday, especially not at 5 in the morning. All right. So beautiful stuff there. We get the win. We needed it. And Greasy, I don't care how, you just needed the 3 points. But we
Mm-hmm.
do have to talk about overview in this game, like coaching, players, everything. Max has his fair share of criticisms, but the players and execution as well. We're going to talk about performances. Man of the match. Who's everyone got for their man of the match? For me, it's an easy decision here
Tuesday.
with Duchamp. Like, has to
Two
be.
goals, assist. Yep.
Has to be Duchamp. There are probably another shout you can maybe make for Weston, whatever, but Duchamp easily, by
Yep.
far, man of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Federico Chiesa is taking a lot of heat from fans, and there are a lot that are kind of staying true to him, protecting him, whatnot, saying, no, no, it's this left wing, it's this second striker thing. I'm done with that bullshit because today also was a little sign of evidence of something that I've been fighting for, saying it's more so our midfield that needs to support him to get him further up, to push him
Mm-hmm.
up on that last line of defense. He got several scenarios today, especially after Alcaraz joined, where the pressure needs to be more from the midfield to keep those guys forward and be able to have them run on against defenders. Chiesa found himself in a few of those situations. Nothing came of it. For me, he ghosted a lot of this game. And his execution in the moments where he could have kind of shined through weren't really there. I don't think it was a very good showing for Federico Chiesa. How do you think, like, what's your thoughts on his performance and just him in general lately? Because a lot of the complaints have been about his body language as well. So what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on
it's
Fede?
been a frustrating few months watching him, and like the chemistry doesn't look there, the confidence doesn't look there, and again, like he didn't play well today, but like how many times did he actually touch the ball? I can you probably count on one hand how many times he actually touched the ball.
Oh, I'll tell
So
you.
like
I'll tell you
like
exactly what he had for
the
touches.
and the thing
But
is, we notice a bit of a difference when you got Cambiaso on that left side compared to Kostic. I know, and not
27 touches in
in
62
65
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
That's not enough,
No. No.
right? And most of the touches were going to Dusan, which makes sense because he's hot. Get him the ball, let him have his chances. I get it, but you need to get Chiesa involved as well. He's like, and everyone's saying that we want to sell him. My question is, it's like, okay, yeah, he's not playing well. He's got some issues with the coach. His body language doesn't look well. Same thing with Dusan last year. Let's not forget that. Now look at Dusan now. Secondly, you should be wanting to add to your top talents, not trying to sell them. We already don't have that many top talents, and we're going to start selling one of our better players. To me, that doesn't make sense if we want to compete in Champions League and we want to compete for the Scudetto next year. You can't just start selling your best players, especially if they're not going to get your top value right now because he's not playing his best. We know he's worth more than what he's going to bring you in this summer.
I
To
was
me, you can't just give up on him just like that. In my
I was
opinion.
right there. I was right there thinking like, we can't. Okay? There are signs there. Like, I'm not buying into this positional thing. It's not right. If we fix the midfield, if we get that support there, we could push him forward. He's going to find himself in the same scenarios, whether he's 4-3-3 or 3-5-2. It's a nonsense argument for me, okay, as far as position goes. This guy's got complete freedom to attack space. That's all the game's about, okay? Creating space, attacking space. But you have to have the players that can support these forwards.
Yeah.
As far as Chiesa goes, though, I don't like the flopping as much, the complaining. It's so much more than that. Like Vlahovic had a major shift before it was even performance. It was attitude.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that shifted for him before he got 2024, where he's just lit it up. He's on 15 goals now all of a sudden, which feels like out of nowhere based on the first half of the season. The first thing that shifted with him was the clear signs of the attitude
Mm-hmm.
and starting to urge his team on, starting to tell them not to worry when they make an errant pass and stuff like that. Fede's the opposite. Fede's throwing his arms up, blaming everything and everyone, seemingly, other than just looking in the fucking mirror and being like, man, you just simply have to be one of our key guys.
Yeah.
You just simply have to do it. And for me, it's just he's got to get on the ball more, but it's what he does on that ball. I think right now he's in a funk, and I think he's trying to
Yeah.
do too much,
Absolutely.
and it's coming through.
And the confidence is not there. I think
Yeah,
if he starts scoring some goals and he's getting more involved, we'll see a bit of a change. But until that, we're gonna keep seeing the same stuff.
yeah. I think if everyone else continues on they are, like if Vlahovic keeps it rolling, if Alcaraz can get introduced more, and all of a sudden he can like Chiesa can be held forward more,
Hmm.
and still fix the left fucking side,
Yeah, you can't keep
please.
playing Kostic,
You
man. It's
can't keep
painful.
doing this. You need somebody that will help him and make that overlapping run. Take one of those the defenders away from him in a double team situation. Help him operate.
Hmm.
If you do that, I think eventually Chiesa will come good. But right now, he's got to get out of his own fucking head. He's got to man up, and he's got to fight through.
Yeah.
He's got to fight through. The rest is just excuses. It's time to get going, but it's on Max to figure out the left side. because that's been something all season long where the
And
left side has just not been balanced.
well,
So
and that goes. Everyone's saying Rabiot. Like, okay, we know the season he had last year, but he has not been the same player this year. If he's expecting the same kind of money going into this summer, I'm saying you let him walk.
this
I
is the this is what
I
I've
don't
been
know.
saying. While like I said, I've given Max the criticism on fixing certain things or whatever, but there are also limits that are there with this team. Alcaraz just came in,
Hmm.
and he's the first guy we have this season that actually is offensive minded playing out of that midfield. Miretti is, but he's had a million chances. It hasn't happened, right? But in terms of the key guys, they really haven't been, man. They've been nowhere near consistent. Today, Locatelli was brutal. And that's one of our key
He was
guys.
rough.
He
Yeah.
was rough today, man, especially in the one facet where you can always bank on him, which is defensively.
Hmm.
He was rough today.
Yeah.
Kostic, nowhere near what he was last season, okay? And that's on Max, too. You got to fix that left side. But the thing is, Weah hasn't been good this year.
He
Weah
looked
hasn't
okay
been
when he
good.
came in today. I'll give him
He was
credit.
he was good today, but he hasn't been like that,
No,
you
you're
know?
right.
As far as McKennie, I would have been using him as right wing back the entire time, trying to figure something out in the midfield. I just think he's better out there, and then you can use Cambiaso on the left, and it helps your left side. Illing Jr. could have gotten more minutes, but these are criticisms of Max. But as
Hmm.
far as the individuals go, the consistency has been nowhere near it from guys that are supposed to be key guys. You know, it just hasn't been there. And that's something that's going to make a team struggle.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, looked pretty fragile over these past 5 games, but now today pulled out a win that simply had to be a win. Okay. Um, in terms of Rabiot, we're seeing some comments here. Rabiot fundamentally is not a good footballer. Alex Juve, Rabiot can leave. Thank you for your service. If he stays, good. If he goes, good as well. So, Alex Juve, indifferent to what's going
Hmm.
on there. For me, I've been saying this that I think a more technically sound midfielder, and no disrespect to McKennie, who's actually busted his ass all year. 2 assists again today and stuff. It's not a knock to him, whatnot, but I've always kind of felt, and we got away from it for a while, and it was working with Rabiot and Locatelli, or Rabiot and McKennie in there. But at some point, these things kind of catch up to you. You
Yeah.
need a guy that's more technical, that's
Yeah.
more offensive oriented, whatever. We need that. I've been saying we could probably go further if it isn't Rabiot. Not to say he doesn't have a place in a midfield, because he does. You need guys that are physical, that can win the ball and do that. But he's just not consistent.
No.
If you had a midfield with one deep line defensive stout midfielder, and you had two guys, one on either side that were offensively minded, that did it, that's a way you shape up a midfield.
Hmm.
That's how you do it. Or if you want your two sound kind of defensive guys, then you kind of use your two-man pivot base, but even those guys can be technically sound, and then you have your real true offensive minded ahead of them.
Right.
That's how you kind of build a midfield. When we're too heavy on the robust side, eventually it's going to catch up to you. When you play teams that do what? What did Frosinone do today? 5-3-2.
Yep.
Low block there. You need the creativity. You need the spark. You need the energy. So Rabiot is a decision that for me, I said I went full circle. I could see defending him, having him stay. I've gotten back to the point where I say he can go.
Yeah.
And I think
I
I'd be
agree.
fine with it. Are you there?
I think so. He just hasn't shown enough this season for me to warrant that kind of money.
Yeah.
I don't know. Too inconsistent, and we've seen that even before last year. It was always inconsistencies was his biggest problem. Now he's picking up a lot of injuries, it seems. So I don't know. I think you got to invest elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing with McKennie. You're absolutely right. It's heart.
Yeah.
It's heart, 3 lungs, some luck, 2 assists, not good technique. That's kind of the thing. Try to fucking back heel in the middle of us trying to work our way out of our own end there that almost ran roughshod there. So every now and then you kind of lose it, but we'll see. Thiago Giallo presents an interesting player profile for Juventus. A guy that could play anywhere across the back, can also play left back, right back. Supposed to be very, very good on the ball. I'd like to see, I hope we see him sooner rather than later. I think he can be something that's very, very interesting for us. That should also help everyone down the line. Help the mids, and then in turn, from helping the mids, you help the forwards. Having somebody that can distribute and play on the ball the way Giallo did anyways during Lille's great run. So we'll see what happens there, okay? Now, I want to get to something around this team that is kind of going around, and we had Mirko on obviously yesterday, and he was talking about players and everything like that. We saw Sule against us today and everything, and Mirko Di Natale says that Sule seems distant from Juventus. He can't figure out why. He has no idea why the team is. It feels like all the signs and all the signals from Juventus are distant from Sule, and he can't figure it out why. He believes it's a big, big mistake. Number one, everyone kind of knows where I stand on the Sule thing. I believe it's between Fede and Sule. I believe like one of these guys is going to be around and another won't. Now, you were talking about earlier about keeping Chiesa, everything like this and whatnot. If it had to be a situation where you make a decision between those two guys, what decision are you making?
I think it also depends who your coach is coming up next season, or going forward. And you also need to talk to Chiesa. If his plan is, oh, I'll sign a 1-year deal and then we'll take it from there, then you might have to move on. You need commitment from these guys, whoever it is, one of the two. One of them's got to commit. I could see it being more Sule than Chiesa committing long term. It's tough. I'd like to keep them both to see what they both can do. Then you have Yildiz in there as well. Like you need options. If you're going to compete on three competitions, you need to have options up front. You can't just have 3-4 guys playing every game.
Yeah. Jeremiah saying I'd sell Chiesa and keep Sule. Mark saying Sule was irrelevant today. I believe both players were irrelevant today,
Yes.
so not the greatest game to pick on
But
both of them. But
just to add on to that, like we saw Sule a bit last year. I know it was his first year kind of playing with the big club and everything, but he was not the same player we've seen mostly this season. So do we think under Allegri he's going to go back to what we saw last year? Playing in a different position, playing under a different club? I don't know.
well, that's my whole thing with Sule in general is I don't buy into these positional things, especially with a guy who is kind of a hybrid offensive player, kind of this half position type player. I didn't see enough with him against I didn't see enough from him with us while he was with us, you know. Now going off against Frosinone, which I will say 4 goals are against Cagliari. He's got a bunch of PKs, okay? Has scored some worldies in there, okay?
Yes.
But against top teams, outside of that Milan game, he's done nothing against top 6 teams. Nothing. Today, I don't think he was anything special.
No, I agree.
So I have my doubts on Sule. I'm still on the sell. I'm still on the sell wagon with Sule.
I'd like to see them both next year and let them good competition within the squad. You know, whoever's hot gets the start.
And
Try to battle it out.
You bring up this thing with who's hot. So this is what's interesting because now Yildiz all of a sudden has been, he came out guns blazing.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden media's kind of on the struggles are there. And this is something that you can't deny. Chiesa is a more dangerous player, I believe. And
yes.
The numbers back that over the period, even the struggles, everything, Yildiz is not getting over there, okay, enough. He's not having as much influence. Even in the games when he scored those goals and stuff like that, his touches were low. Very, very low. Okay? And we could put that on the team, the ball movement, the midfield, everything like that. But still, if you're not going to have it as an excuse for Fede, you have to treat him on the level as
Mm-hmm.
well if he's going to be playing same position and being his counterpart. And they both play it a little bit differently because Yildiz likes to play more centrally and kind of is more inside, whereas Chiesa really likes to be on that sideline from starting off. Yildiz today did start off from that sideline. He whiffed on one, which should have been a goal,
Yeah.
Yildiz. So he does get into good spots, good positions. But media's starting to say and paint this picture like, oh, Yildiz is struggling and everything like that. I have no issues with Yildiz. It's going to take time, but it just goes to show you we can't go too high or go too low. It's exactly what it should be. And that's an 18-year-old that needs to be integrated, that slowly needs to get in there, okay? And just continue to grow, okay? But everything stands the same. This is a great comment from Sharia, because I want to get to this because he says our fan base is so reactionary. First sell Vlahovic, then sell Chiesa. They were all good for some part of the season. We should sell players that didn't have an injury and get minutes consistently. Excuse me. It's not fully because fans can be reactionary. Absolutely, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotions involved in sports, but Vlahovic, with what was happening in the first half of the season, things change. That's why you gauge everything as it goes. But there was a point in this season where you would question absolutely if he's worth that money.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point where I had doubts like, oh man, should we actually lean on this guy? Can we go forward? That's a lot of money. And you factor in the financial situation. All these things have to play a part. With Federico Chiesa, it's no different. Now we have gut check time because Lucci pointed it out. If he's only good on a 1-year renewal, you have a decision to make there.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes off on the Euros, some will say, well, that's what we need to get out of him and whatnot. But is it completely hindered based on how we play? Because that was the excuse for Vlahovic. Out of nowhere, he's on 15 goals. So nothing's changed with our system or how we play. Now he's on 15 goals. This is what I've been saying the whole time about this separation between coaching and players isn't as skewed on the gauge as everyone makes it out to be. Because people will have you, the majority will have you believe that coaching, on a full scale of my screen, okay, we'll go like this. Coaching accounts for this much of it. And this small little section, okay, over here is how much the players actually count for. That's nonsense to me. It's nonsense to me. You need better from these guys. Vlahovic out of nowhere with nothing changing. Mm-hmm. Formation hasn't changed. Setup, nothing. 15 goals out of nowhere. Proving, okay, making a case for himself why we should bank on him. Has Chiesa made that case? For me, there's still questions there. Vlahovic is answering a lot of questions with the second half so far. Chiesa, I think the questions are there and they're fair, Luch.
I don't disagree. I do think their situations are a little different, though. Him coming back from that injury, we still haven't seen the player he was pre-injury. And of course, playing with Ronaldo probably helped him a lot then, compared to now. But you got to talk to him this summer, see what his plans are, and if he doesn't want to commit long term, then I do think you probably do need to move on. Unfortunately, I love Chiesa. I'm a big supporter, but if he's not willing to commit, like we've seen with Rabiot last year, this 1-year deal, whatever. Sorry, guys, we need players that want to be here and that want to play long term. This is kind of if you want to call it a rebuild or a retool time. So
Yeah. The other thing, and Forza Juve believes that his mentality is what's keeping him from being that world class player. For me, if we're talking about key guys, they got to be your key guys right
yeah,
now. If we're talking about injury and patience is kind of running out of time as well based on the contract scenario. So he may not be afforded any more patience. And how patient can Juventus be? And this is where it gets interesting because a lot of people say, well, you move forward with Sule, you have Yildiz and whatnot. I think even as it stands this season, we're tipping the scale on a side that's too young and we
yes,
still need more balance. Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree, and I do. But like Sule and Yildiz are very different than what Chiesa offers you. You can't really compare them in, oh, they're just going to replace each other and everything's going to go fine. You don't know that. Completely different styles and the way they attack.
Yeah.
So it's a risky game. You're going to put all your faith in Yildiz, who's 19, and Sule, who's, I don't know, 20, 21, whatever. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs for the next couple of years if
That's
that's your
that's
plan.
what I'm trying to get at is
Yeah.
that the balance has to be looked at as well. So if Chiesa goes, I'm going to need something more than Felipe Anderson. Like, and I'm not going to want to bank on all these young guys.
Yeah.
This push for a coaching change and everything, which by the way, Mirko Natale also reconfirmed what Nico Skira put out, that there have been discussions with Malta. Okay. We'll get to that in a second, your thoughts on it, Lucci and everything. And everybody's like, yeah, he's going to work well with the young guys and all this and whatnot. I'm thinking we need to carefully look at how we're going to operate and how much we're going to invest in these young guys because they shouldn't be banked on. It's our key guys that have kind of let us down this season, I think, from a consistency point of view. And again, when you have all these guys, Rabiot's put in great games. Locatelli's put in solid shifts. You've had Kostic has had like, I think, a couple. Okay. You have Vlahovic, who now is firing in the same system. Nothing has changed. For me, consistency is part of being a quality player. It's part of being a key guy. That is not on a coach for players' consistency. The coach, I think, for me, lately has blame for our second halves being so flat. And if you're playing a game after the first half, you should have a solid idea in the second half what you want to do to hurt that team based on what they're doing. I'm not seeing anything from first half to second half during this 5-game stretch. It's been nothing. It's been worse, I'd say, in the second half. That's on Max. But the players and them, they need to step up and take some of the accountability. How much responsibility do we feel comfortable giving all these young guys? I'm not ready to see a Juventus that, and I think it's going to be rocky. I think it's going to be rocky if all of a sudden we want to keep. We're at an average age now of 26, just right around 27 years, I think. Okay. The first number I got was 26.2, which put us at like third youngest team. We're actually mid. I think we're like 9th or 10th as far as how young we are. But if I'm just not ready for that. I think you need ready now players. And that's what's hurting Juve, is because the guys that are supposed to be ready now, right now, have been inconsistent this year. Vlahovic, if you can do it now, nothing has changed. You did it at the start of the year. So did Fede Chiesa. Same system, same setup, everything. They could bring more. I'm really questioning Giuntoli. Like, I'm not questioning Giuntoli, but I have questions about, are his targets going to be really geared towards the younger side? And is that the right way to go? Are we giving up on some experience and just going young? Are we ready to, like, how long is this build going to take? Are we in year zero? Because if a change comes, we'll get to the possibilities there. But I've been seeing a lot of comments saying we're back to year zero moving forward out of this one. Do you agree with that statement? That next year would be year zero?
I mean, wouldn't this be year zero? Like we got so much young talent starting, like Cambiaso, Gatti, uh, Wea, Yildiz, like all these guys are in their first or second years with the big guys. So yes, a different coach might change that, and you're starting all over. But like they will have more experience going into the next seasons. In my opinion, and you learn like from these ups and downs we've seen this year. You hope they learn and can make adjustments going forward. I don't know. I don't think it would be year zero. You got Dusan who's coming into his prime now. You have maybe Chiesa. Bremer's getting even better this year. We've seen him. You know, it depends. If the midfield ends up taking a complete changeover, Rabiot leaves, you bring in 2-3 new players. Of course, there's gonna be some growing pains with that as well, like building chemistry within the team and all that stuff. But I don't think, in my honest opinion, you can keep going with what Allegri's been offering you. I haven't seen enough growth and enough change over the past few years with him.
Yeah. I have been fighting the fight that the players share equal amount of responsibility for their individual performances, but I'm at the point where we can't hit a wall every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And now, with the lack of adjustments, lack of changes, lack of adapting, okay, fixing a left side that even through the best of times this year has been abysmal and weak, not trying to fix that, kind of being status quo. These are my criticisms of Max, but ultimately hitting the wall, even if it isn't all on him, which it is not, it can't keep happening. You have to set a standard with the players as far as accountability goes. You have to set a standard even from that chair. I think signs are pointing towards a change. Lucci, do you think there's going to be a change this summer?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. We came close last summer, so I think now it's time.
Everybody
We
put
just need
in
something different.
Yeah, we saw the words of Giuntoli before this game, saying that we're happy the team has achieved 54 points together as a unit. We're happy with the coach and he wants to continue with us, but we will discuss it later on this season. For me, you take that with a grain of salt. We all remember the classic Nedved statements, everything before a game and everything going the complete opposite direction. I'm not taking anything much from that. I actually do believe there will be a change with Juventus this summer. Motta. If it ends up being Motta, how do you feel about that?
I mean, he's done some great things. That Bologna team is like, on paper, they're not half bad. And he's done some good things. It's a risk. Let's not kid anybody. He's never played in Champions League. Coppa Italia is up in question. How's he going to do with the real pressure at being at Juve compared to Bologna? It's completely different. So tough to say, but I don't know. You're taking a
There's
risk.
question marks there. I always said it was going to be a difficult decision, but my thing is, if you're going to ask for progress has to be made with our roster too.
Yeah.
And this is another thing too, like where did we finish last season? Third before the points got deducted?
Mm-hmm.
Wea coming in on 12 million euros. Is that enough to make the jump from third to winning the Scudetto title?
No.
Cambiaso, like no disrespect to them, was that enough? Was that enough of a change? Bringing in Cavilla, Cambiaso, and Weah. For me, that's not enough. That's not enough if you want to make such a big jump.
Yeah.
And again, like, we want to look at these options all over the place, but the roles are fulfilled. The roles are fulfilled. We have had question marks around our roster and what we can do and alternatives the entire way. So whoever comes in, the team has to actually deal with the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Our midfield, it needs, and to be fair, these were situations that the club had nothing to do with. Pogba and Fagioli. This season, I think we would have been better, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
For
More
sure we
options
would
in
have
the
been
midfield.
better.
Yeah, more creativity, more offensive
Yeah.
power in that midfield. Huge difference.
So if we were at a point where we were at, say, 2 points away, whatever, but you had that ability, those traits in your midfield, I think it would have helped. I think it would have helped. And I don't care who the coach is. If you have a Pogba or a Fagioli, and it's that or a guy that keeps stumbling with a million chances, or two guys that just don't have that profile, I think you're going to see the struggles. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, but
I agree.
Juve's going to be filled with difficult decisions. Midfield list, Mirko Di Natale says we have minimum 10 on our target list going into the summer. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? For me, Samardzic needs to be one of them.
Yeah.
I will say Samardzic needs to be one of them. I know he's young, 21, and we're talking about the age of this team and everything, but I just see a lot of good out of that guy, and he can help us. He can help us for sure.
Mm-hmm.
McKennie's got question marks around him too. Might have some interest. Weah's got question marks around him. The Rabiot question marks. Maybe I'll ask you this, Lucci.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on your top? Because Skanga gave us his 2-3 weeks ago. Who's on your needs to go list for Juventus?
Needs to go list. Oof. Well, we're not considering Sandro already, right? Because he's good as gone.
Yeah.
I would assume. So I'd say Kostic is probably on the top of that list. I'd put Keane in there as well. If you can get a decent offer, I'd probably say Weah as well. Make some money on the books there. I think he's got the pace. I don't know if he's really playing out of position. No one really knows what his best position is, but we just haven't seen him. He's got the pace, but he doesn't do anything else. So those would be three. I'd probably say Moretti goes on loan. Maybe Hans gets sold as well, just to bring in some cash so you can buy a midfielder that's kind of ready and, can play now, would be my guess. Again, question marks with Chiesa. If he's not willing to renew, I think he's on your list to go as well, unfortunately.
Interesting.
That's my 5-6 that should probably go.
There you go. Gatti first to go.
Whoa. It's a little harsh.
He's made a
We're
lot of
seeing
mistakes
a lot of growing
this
pains
year,
with Gatti
but I
this
think
year.
I think I'd not sell him. I don't think I'd sell him.
I don't know if he deserves to necessarily be an automatic starter. I could probably agree with that, but just to sell him just like that, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. Guys,
the options are not there yet. Maybe if Dallo gets going and then he slides it, maybe Gatti needs a bit of a rest. Tying
in with this, because we obviously just played Frosinone, who's got 3 pieces of our property. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Barnechea. If an offer comes in, do you sell Barnechea? What would you like to see done with Barnechea? Everybody in the live chat, what do you want to see with Barnechea?
It's either going to be him or Hans, I think, that goes, no?
And that's what I was going to kind of tie into, because for me, there are rumors about Juve a loan for Hans Nicolucci Cavilla. If you're loaning him, you got to make a decision. It's time to shit or get off the pot with Hans Nicolucci Cavilla. So, what's your decision if it is between those two guys?
I like what I've seen from Barnechea, but when he was with us last year, I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest. So, but then again, Hans isn't playing at all. So how is he going to get any better if he's not getting any game time? At least Barnechea is playing rather consistently. So
Yeah,
I'd
so we
say
got a little bit of so the dad saying sell Barnechea, Animesh saying sell Barnechea,
okay.
Tony Trem saying keep Barnechea, sell
I'd
Hans,
I think I would sell Hans as well. I'm with Tony.
keep Hans, push Luca more, bring Barnechea. He could play the Rabiot role.
Can
Sell
he though?
Barnechea. Guys, I still have a dream, okay? I have a dream of a 4-2-3-1, okay, with some proper acquisitions. I've always loved the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Barnechea can play a two-man pivot role. I know Lucci saying he didn't really think anything much when he came in and played us those minutes, but I actually thought he was sound. I thought he stepped in and it was like you would not know that was his like debut type thing and that he was so young or whatever. He just looked calm. He looked poised. He can distribute with both feet, a natural six. Like I'm leaning more towards keeping Barnechea and
Yeah.
selling
I
Hans, but
agree.
I think it's difficult with Hans too because I see a lot there as well. But I just think how many guys can you keep loaning out and doing this? Like ultimately, and we need money, you got to
Hmm.
make a decision. I think the Barnechea Hans one is actually a very difficult decision. And I feel like I could. I woke up very early today, obviously for this match. I feel like I might wake up tomorrow morning and say, no, you know what? I'll sell Barnechea and I'll keep Hans. I think honestly, it'd be okay either way. I think either way, it'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But interesting decisions to be made. Kyle George, I know he's your boy.
He is my boy. Sell Keen, keep Cow. That's my shout. At
I think
least you
he's
get some
heading for
money.
another loan, which would make
Probably.
sense.
Yeah. But
Would make sense.
we have Keen. He hardly plays. You got to get some money off of him.
What
He's
the
not worth
hell
much.
was the video I just watched of Moise Keane and like playing basketball? Was it a rap video or something? Like I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's dribbling a football 1 second, like a trampoline, might I add, and then he's playing basketball. It's rapping. This fucking guy, man. I tell you, I tell you, get your
Frustrating.
priorities straight.
Frustrating.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh man, he's your boy Alex Juve going against you there on Kyle saying sell. You guys like the video while you're in here. It's time for Storm the Barn. All your questions, fire them away. All right, and let's get into it. I want to see Lucci first off. Do you have any questions that you want to get addressed? Something maybe we didn't tackle.
Ooh. Okay, I did see this. Someone put this in there before. So with McKennie and Rabiot most likely missing next week against Napoli, who's your starting midfield?
McKennie and Rabiot most likely missing. For me, the midfield will. I I would honestly, what I've been trying to fucking do for a while is a two-man pivot. Okay, I'd
Okay.
rock Hans and Luca as a two-man pivot with Alcaraz ahead.
Okay. Okay. I could see that.
But I'm not scared, man. I grip it and rip it. So what would you do?
I was thinking the same, but I'd just assume he'd play the same 3-5-2 with those three in there, and kind of Alcaraz has more time to get
Yeah,
forward, I guess, right? So
yeah.
similar,
I'm
yeah.
I'm fine with that midfield, to be honest.
But that
Like,
means automatically Kostic is starting next weekend because he's not starting Weah.
yeah. And to be honest, like Weah's at that point right now where like today was a good game, but like it needs more of that to
Yeah.
to get into that confidence of starting off a game, right? Cambiasso on one side, Weah on the other isn't the end of the world.
I just don't see
But
him doing it. I agree with you, but I don't see him doing it.
no, I don't see it either. No. Just what I would do. Just what I
Yeah.
would do. We got
Yeah,
Storm the
no,
Barnes ripping in here.
I'm with you.
Want to talk about a couple things. So Rabiot obviously reached 200 appearances today for the club. We've got Vlahovic. We talked about Vlahovic, red hot 2024 calendar year. 15 goals, 4 assists, 23 matches for Juve. It didn't look like it was going to get to a point like this earlier on in the season, and that's what we talk about, with these guys. Guys, playing into my narrative, okay? That's because sometimes you got to do that, okay? Alcaraz, I can play in any position to contribute to the team. I want to keep playing and accumulate minutes. Future at Juventus, it's still too early to talk about. I can play in any position to contribute to the team. Yeah, that fuels my position shit is nonsense. Unless you're asking, Gatti to go up and play striker, which today looked like he wanted to do for a bunch of times. We're not asking certain guys to play way out of position, okay? So, again, get the job done as a baller, okay? Lucci, how many positions have you played playing days?
4, 5? 5 or 6 anyway, yeah.
Did you ever come off the field in one of your standard ship performances and think this is on you to the coach?
No.
Yeah. You just go out there, you ball, you get the job done.
You do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do.
In most cases, it was me just taking out guys' legs, so it didn't really matter where I was doing it.
Yeah. Massimiliano Allegri, the first coach in Serie A history since 1929-30, okay, to reach the milestone of 1,000 points. He's at 1,002, okay? That's crazy. It's actually crazy. Massive milestone there for Max. We all know the situation around it. It's always a media circus around Juventus. It's not going to stop from here on out, but we'll see what happens. I do think whatever happens, I'm going to say this, and it's really going to be par for the course for everybody for the past month. Nobody's really been agreeing with me, and I'm fine with it, but I'm going to say that I actually think in hindsight, when people look back to this 3 years and you actually take into account all the context, everything that's going around the team, I actually think Max was the exact right guy that we needed for this 3 years. And the reason is, man, how many millions were we in debt 3 years ago? 342 million?
Something like that, yep.
342 million in debt. People say no progress in 3 years. But the thing is, this team lost its entire spine that was remaining from 3 years ago. There's no team left other than Tech. Mm-hmm. Tech and Pinsolio, pretty much. And Sandro. Outside of that, it's a completely different team. You factor in what happened last year too. All I'm going to say is, I will actually say thanks for this 3 years that I think a lot of other coaches would have said, fuck you, I'm out.
True.
I will say thank you for that. And now, if changes come, like I back Max, I will back the next coach.
Of course.
Wholeheartedly. Okay?
Yeah.
How was the espresso this morning? Fucking fantastic. 2, brother. 2. All right? 2. Top 4 prediction, guys, besides Inter, of course.
Ooh.
I still see Juve getting second. I still see second, maybe third. I don't see us hitting fourth. I don't see us hitting fourth. So let's start off with Juve. Do we drop down, Lucci, or do you see us holding down second? What do you think?
That return leg against Milan will be huge, I think, whenever that is coming. I think that will decide who's second and third. 63
points, Inter first place, 2 games in hand on Juve. We just played our 26. We're at 57 points. Milan with 1 game in hand still to play. They're at 52 points. Bologna's at 48 points. Same amount of games as us, okay? So 9 points behind us. Atalanta's at 45. They've got 2 games in hand, okay?
And they play today.
Yeah, and they're red hot. And that's actually
that's
today.
Good, though. They're playing
Milan and Atalanta. That's a big one. That's actually good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually good. And I actually Who was my pick? Because right now, and again, for anybody that wants an overview on Calcio just in general, Calcio Review channel, check it out. Show some subs out there. My predictions last week, I was 7 out of 10. This week, I'm 4 out of 5 so far. And I picked Atalanta to beat Milan.
Ooh.
Who does everybody have winning that game today? Who do you got, Luch, in that one?
I'll say a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw? Okay. Okay. 2-2 draw.
I don't think we're clear for second, though. That's a little, I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I think
Milan's right
Juve
there.
will be second or third. Second
Yeah.
or third based on what's going on now and what we can do. Second or third, we're okay. Milan will be in there. I actually believe Atalanta. I have my doubts. I like Bologna had a slump there. I feel like they might hit one again. I actually think Atalanta might take the fourth spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think Atalanta might do it. What do we got? Did I pick Lecce? Is Lecce against Inter? Yeah, I did actually. Oh yeah, huge upset coming today. Fuck, I would
Imagine.
laugh my ass off. You
Oh
guys
my
would
God.
appreciate the YouTube short video I'd do if they dropped that one. Now, Vidad, if Alcaraz keeps performing, should we go for him in the summer at a different price?
At a
49
different
million
price.
pounds? Am I right on that? 49 million pounds?
I believe
Yeesh.
so.
Yeah, it would have to be crazy performances, Vidad.
I was impressed with where he was getting into positions and always wanting the ball and getting
Yeah.
forward, but he was a little rusty. A couple of his passes were definitely not on par.
Yeah.
But like you can see the talent's there, the vision's there, but I don't think you can spend 50 on him.
I
I,
mean,
I don't know.
I would have to see it against good sides too. No
Consistently as
disrespect to
well.
Frosinone. I want to see him against one of the top 7, and see how consistent it is and everything. But in terms of some of the execution, you're bang on right. There were some problems that were there. Okay. Forza Juve says one player you bring in on a free, one player you buy for 34 million, and one player you spend 50 to 70 million on this summer.
Do we even have that kind of money?
Jeez. So
I don't even know who's available for free. Probably Felipe
50 to
Anderson.
70 that we're targeting. I don't like the price tag for him, but I think Coop Miners helps this team out a lot. Let's
And
put him at a
Samardzija?
let's
Both
put
of
him at
them?
a 50. Let's put him at a 50, okay? A player I want on a free is Tony Cruz.
Ooh,
1000%. Okay?
okay.
1000%. A player at 30 to 40 mil that I think we could snag, Orsolini. And I would bring in Orsolini. And if you have to say goodbye to somebody, I'd probably look at Orsolini and
That's
let
fair.
the other wing kind of figure itself out.
So in that
But
case, you bring in Coop Miners instead of Samardzija.
I still want some Ardzic.
You
I
need
still
both
really
though,
do.
and
But in
Cruz,
that
all
price
three.
range of 50 to 70 million euros,
Yeah, I don't think 60. What was they asking? 60, I think. Atalanta was
60
asking
well, we're
60.
hearing 50 to 60. So he's in that range for Coop.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. He's a top 5 mid in Serie A this season though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he carries traits we need. Is he not an upgrade in the midfield to Rabiot or McKennie?
Oh, yeah,
For
absolutely,
me, he is.
absolutely.
At this point, we need upgrades. Like, we need upgrades. For
Yeah,
me, he's an upgrade.
yeah. I wouldn't like the defense should be fine. You got Houston's coming back. Gonzalez, I'm sure he'll go back out on loan, but like the defense should be okay. Your main focus right now, I think, would be fullbacks in midfield
Yeah.
because Kostic's got to go. Weah question marks. All that you're left with what McKennie, Cambiaso, and Illing. Well, I don't. Who knows what Illing either?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you look at Orsolini's numbers, he's actually pretty consistent year in, year out, and playing for a pretty dog shit side. They're good now, but they've been dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got more contributions per appearances than Chiesa too. Just saying. Just saying. Don't shoot me. All right? I'm just saying. That's all. I like Orsolini. I'd be curious to see him with the Azzurri. He's got to get the
Yeah.
call, eh, Luch?
Has to.
Has to.
Has
Has
to.
to get the call.
You don't have that many options up there anyway. And fuck, if Berardi's still there, I might not even watch a game because I'll go nuts.
Are we beating Super Atalanta in the Copita? Man, they are on fire, man. Atalanta is absolutely on fire. That would be a hell of a one-off. We've only played them once this season. It was a 0-0 draw, eh? And they totally outplayed the shit out of us in that one. We hung on. That's going to be tough, but, you know, they'll drop it in the 2 legs going up to it, so they won't even make it. For us, let's get by Lazio. I just want to get by Lazio, okay? Let's go, and I think we will. We have to get this trophy. Have to fight for that, okay?
Yes, we do.
Have to fight for that. Drop the link for the other channel. I'll tell you what, I will drop the link for the other channel, but I'll do it kind of on a post off YouTube. So just check the post off the channel. I'll drop it. Chiesa looks as depressed as the fans post Inter. Is he powerless to change his fate? Some fans would indicate that. No, he is not powerless. It's up to him. It's all perception, right? As far as us being fans. We're not involved in the day-to-day, right? We're not involved in it. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know everything, but the perception from the outside looking in is exactly how he says it, is that it's just he's whining, he's complaining, he's blaming other players for errant passes and stuff like that, but then sails a fucking shot when he's got everybody in the box and they want the cross. It's all perception. He is not powerless to change his fate. Just got to get his shit together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not buying the excuse that it's all on a system. That's nonsense to me. It's nonsense to me. You know? If we were asking him to be a striker, like an all-out target man, if we sent him back as a center back, okay. But I don't know. And this comment here from Alex P has come into me from so many that it looks like Chiesa is in it for himself. What's funny to this today, if you guys, I don't know if you guys noticed or didn't, when we were pushing for that game winner, Chiesa's out there smashing on the board. He's like smashing on the board, and he looked more fucking interested when he put that jacket on.
He was one of the first ones in the pile there when Rugani scored, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's like, I can't figure this fucking guy out.
Yeah.
Get your attitude right on the pitch, first and foremost. And then we move from there. But it's just bizarre. So that's why I'm not fully on this he's in it for himself thing. I'm more on the he's overthinking everything. And just, it's making him look really bad. And he's trying to do too much. But it's weird. It's weird. Storm the barn. Keep them coming.
I saw one in here before. Where did it go?
Oh, did I miss one?
Cambiasso gets the call for the national team.
Oh, I don't even see that one.
Well, it doesn't say Storm the Barn, that's why, but who was it from? Alex?
Alex P? Oh, no, Alex Juve right there. Cambiasso, get the national team call? Yeah.
100% for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you need options, especially if they're looking to change I don't know, Spalletti was saying maybe changing formations, being a little something different. I would 100%.
Yeah. Now, let's get a little read here because I think there are updates. Is there updates coming in here? I think we missed some.
I saw looks like Rabiot and McKennie are both going to be out for a little while, according to Ryan.
During the first half, this is coming in from Sky Sport, Allegri was yelling at Chiesa and was unsatisfied with his performance. He even sent Yildiz to warm up during the first half as a message to Fede. Okay. Sky Sport, I think, trying to play a little something there. Now, Agresti, so Romeo Agresti, yeah. Dislocation. First phalanx of the right toe for Rabiot. And like I thought, I said on the watch along, McKennie dislocated left shoulder. Shitty. When it rains, it pours, everybody. A lot of work. Enter Caviglia. Alcaraz, keep it rolling. Miretti's going to have to get used as well and step up. But the profile of your midfield changes drastically now. You know?
Yes.
That robust midfield now is forced out. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But yet another curveball for Massimiliano Allegri to deal with here. But you know what? These guys should be getting the minutes anyways. I think Hans should have been getting a little bit more too. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, McKennie, Rabiot out. These 3:30 a.m. games, I'm telling you guys, shit always goes down. And they're grinds. They're always grinds. I've never woken up at that time and watched a game where I was like, okay, awesome. Just smooth sailing, like kick the day out. It feels like there's always grinds and there's always bullshit that comes from it. But there you go. Rabiot, McKennie, injuries. I dislocated my shoulder actually in a game too. And that fucking sucked. And then it kept happening over and over. I had to get surgery on it. Brutal, man. Brutal. But McKennie, man, he hammered it through. He did get subbed though I can't remember at which minute though, but he grit his teeth. I
think it's right after it happened.
Was it right after?
I think so.
I feel like he stayed in a couple
because he made that sliding challenge and then maybe he went down and then he came off right after. Pretty sure.
I felt like it was a little bit after because he stayed in there till the 87th minute.
It was that late?
Yeah.
Oh.
He grit his teeth for a while on it, man. I finished the game, Wes, by the way. Just saying. So, let's have some fun. We'll keep it rolling here. Who do we need to get to pull the plug? Oh, Alex, come on, man. It's a rough one today for sure. He's good defensively, but I will say he does have to do more influence offensively. I will say that.
He was not his best today, that's for sure.
Not pulling the plug on Luca now. Two-man pivot, you guys will love Luca. Trust me. Okay? Yeah. And yes, let's get the likes. Keep the likes firing. Locatelli, I mean, and not to brush this one off quick by any means or anything, but it's just like, on a scale of problems around Juventus, is he really at that height for me? No, based on his performances. We want more, but it's not to say that what he's doing is bad by any means, right? Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
he's the one of the least of our issues right now, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll see. Ryan, who do you think will be the midfield against Napoli? Well, I gave my thoughts on what I would do. Lucci kind of agreed the same. We're thinking, Hans, Luca, Alcaraz. Probably what I would do. That's what I would do. I wouldn't be surprised by this, though. Cambiaso into a center midfielder role, and that would force Weah to play outside, and then Kostic is going to be a lock, and I think Kostic is going to be a lock as long as
Kostic is the first one on the game sheet, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and that's another criticism of Max, okay? A little too much leash for certain players. in my personal opinion. All right. Now, we will take a quick look at Cagliari and Napoli are at 0-0 halftime. Okay. They brought in the sandwich man there, Calzone. Okay. Got themselves a Calzone at third manager. Who was it? Just fired their fourth manager, so Napoli's going to be up again now to tackle there. There was another firing in Serie A, and they're going on their fourth
I just saw
manager.
that. Who was it?
I can't remember the team. I'm trying to think here. I missed the team.
Was
Fourth
it?
coaching change. Okay. And Napoli's on deck now for another one. But it's Salernitana.
It was.
Fourth manager this season. It was Pippo. So Pippo
Yeah,
Inzaghi.
they just fired him like last week.
Man, so Salernitana
Disaster.
on 4. And Napoli. What a title defense. That's as good as a trophy for me, I think, sometimes on its own, just based on that fan reaction last year and the way they were. Whew. 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 What a fall from grace. What a fall from grace.
I love it.
You know what's
Love
the
to
best?
see it.
I saw a comparison thing from a Napoli fan, okay? And it was picking out of 2 Napoli players. Higuain got put next
Saw
to Mertens, and he picked Mertens, and I think that's hilarious because we know why they're butthurt about it, because he ended up making the right decision and joining Juventus because he wanted to actually fucking win something, and that he did. There's no way anybody chooses Mertens over Gonzalo Higuain. So I love it that they're still butthurt about that one. We probably got room for one more. Storm the barn. What about bringing back Barnechea and Sule, offloading Chiesa, Rabiot, let Moretti go on loan, and letting Luca play more advanced? So you want to offload Chiesa and Rabiot. You want to bring back Barnechea and Sule. Like, the thing for me is just tipping the scale to the young side. And next year we will be back in Champions League, everybody. Okay.
And Felipe Anderson's not going to make that any better.
Yeah, so like you have to make some interesting decisions, but you have to Barnechea, number 1, could come back in the midfield. But it's not really based off of Rabiot.
Mm-hmm.
Moretti needs a loan.
Yeah.
For sure. For Barnechea, it's more kind of what happens with Hans, in my opinion. Pogba's going to be done. We know the news around him. It's over. Okay? So, for me, it's Barnechea or Hans. Fagioli's going to be back into the mix. Pogba's going to be gone. Rabiot may be gone, but you need ready now guys. I'm not ready to offload those guys and only look to the young talents. So that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. As far as Luca playing more advanced, there's nothing really stopping him right now. There's nothing really stopping him right now, especially when a team plays like that today. 5-3-2. Swarm them. Push them up forward. Get up there. He did a couple times, but he's fucking trying to hit Gatti on a run in behind the defender. I'm like, can anybody else make that run? And it's not Gatti, but Luca was not in form today by any means, so it'll be frustrating. As far as the summer goes, you guys, if that Mirko interview didn't open up some eyes as to how big the question marks are around Juve and what's going to go down, I don't know what will. Like, this summer can take so many weird and wild turns, and the shape of the team could change completely.
Yeah. And it's not like we have a lot of money to spend. So
you have to have a zero parameter Mercato.
Yeah.
So for anybody that needs the explanation on that, pretty straightforward, but just in case, that means you don't spend unless you sell.
Yeah.
And I think Juve is going to be pushing to come out on the forward side of that by selling more and showing more positive against the books rather than negative. So I think we're actually probably going to sell more than we actually spend. That's going to be very difficult to make a big significant boost to the roster. So that's
Yes.
something we have to factor in too. We're still not out of the woods going into next year. So expectations, all this, we got to see. We got to see where we're at. I got to see this lineup, this team sheet on paper, but on
Yeah.
paper is only half the battle. Half the battle, you know? And for me, this is a question I want to pose to everybody because on paper is one thing. On paper, we have a very expensive squad. Do you think, that these guys individually, based on what they do individually, that we have a roster that's worth the money we pay out? I say no. Just as
Oof.
far as the individuals go, I don't think our roster is worth the amount of money that we actually have on it.
Yeah, I
You
would
know?
agree.
Yeah. That's kind of one thing that should speak to the expectations of what we thought we were going to get. And of course, Cambiaso, Caviglia, and Weah being the additions this summer. You have to look at all these things. The coach that comes in next, if we make a coaching change, the expectations, it's going to matter about what that team is, but on paper is only part of the battle. We still have a lot of work to do. The sponsorship, there was a question about sponsorship. I haven't heard anything as far as sponsors. I'm still getting that it's going to be, which is interesting because Romeo Agresti said that the Jeep sponsorship we currently have, which is of a value around 45 to 50 million euros, he doesn't think it's going to be that high. He thinks whoever the sponsor comes in, Inter is getting like 25 from Paramount Plus. And he says Juve is not worth that right now. And I'm not sold on that one.
That's crazy.
I think that Juve will still work out a very, very solid sponsorship, especially going back to Champions League. And that's going to be the big ticket thing. So I'm going to wait because the rumors I am getting as far as sponsorship are still big, big, big conglomerates. So let's see. Do you have full trust? This is probably the last one we'll wrap up on. Do you have full trust in Dusan for the long-term future? Or do you still need to see more? I have a hell of a lot more trust than at the start.
Yep.
Where are you at with with Vlahovic, Luch?
I've seen a complete change from him from
Yeah.
what we've seen at this time last year, compared to now. Even sometimes beginning of this season, he looked like he was going back into that how he was last year, but I don't know what's changed. Maybe it's just a mentality thing. It's, a bit of confidence. I'm sure at, the young age, the confidence goes a long way for a striker when you're scoring. So I definitely have a lot more confidence in him. And you got to keep him at pretty much at all costs if you can. So
Yeah. I would like to see it, and it's a tough ask. And now all of a sudden he's got the numbers backing him, and he's had an insane 2024. I think right now he's having the best 2024 calendar year for all top 5 leagues based on numbers in this calendar year. Now he's finally showing it. I have way more trust in him now than I did earlier on in the season. I would still like to see that wage brought down, but now he's got a case to make.
to keep it, yeah.
But it's tough, it's tough when you think about everything. And Alex P making a comment that he's stomping on the weak teams, which he's supposed to, but he needs more from him in the bigger games. But I go back to the same thing. I want to keep it level that I did with Chiesa, and it's our midfield. Our midfield needs to do more. Against Inter, that first half, there was no aggression from our midfield at all to battle, to win the ball back, to get it out to these guys. Like, it's too passive. It's way too passive out of the midfield. We need some fight out of there, some attitude, some pressure, some aggression to get that ball back sooner. And I think it will help these guys, and especially against the bigger teams, because our midfield gets sometimes our midfield doesn't influence games against these weak sides like this. Against the good
Yeah.
sides, they can sometimes just fall flat on their face.
Against Inter, he had that one chance that he missed. Literally, I think that was it in the whole match.
Yeah.
So if he's getting more opportunities, maybe that changes. But you can't listen. Obviously, you want to go 1-for-1, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And usually it's not.
We'll see. We'll see. Everybody, thank you so much. The watch along was amazing. A lot of people. Obviously not 3:30 a.m. for you guys, but I saw James in there, Reno as well. Thank you guys. The live watch along was amazing. Thank you for the post match pod, Lucci. Always a pleasure. It's been too long, man. I can't even remember the last time you were on here.
Been a while, buddy. It's been a while. Glad to be back.
Gets himself a woman and forgets about all of us. Just like that.
I could never forget about you guys.
All right. Well, let's get you back more often. You guys, always an absolute pleasure. We got the job done. It wasn't pretty, but hey, who gives a shit when you're on a run like that? 3 points is all that counts. Desperately needed it. Now we got more stuff to deal with, okay? McKennie, Rabiot. Let's see what Mad Max is going to cook up next. All right? And we're going to be with you.
Napoli.
The whole, yeah. Hey, fuck. If you want to talk about receipts that Napoli has on me, whew, I tell you.
Shit.
I don't know if it's as many as I have on them, but still, don't let me down, Juve. We got to win that one, okay? And we just got to win out, really. We got to stay strong, finish strong. Coppa Italia, though, for me, you put everything you have into Coppa Italia. Let's get that trophy, okay? But for now, got the job done against Frosinone. We'll have you with the daily news updates and everything in the build-up to that Napoli game. Let's see what Mad Max cooks up. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, all right? Wish you guys nothing but the best during the week, and we'll talk to you all real soon. As always, no matter what's going down, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. Take care.
Yeah.